Hey everybody, welcome to our third video in the Ultimate Fantasy Golf Foursome series. If you've been following along, you know we've got a game where we're picking our Ultimate Golf Fantasy Foursome, and we've done a couple of different subcategories. If you've watched the first two videos and been following along, our first video was the sports category, then we did a category on politics. So we've got two subcategories left. Those are history and entertainment. So I think today we're going to just do them in order. We're going to do the history subcategory today on our way to that ultimate final fantasy foursome. Now when you're talking history, right, I mean, we know that, first of all, this whole game is about picking anybody from any time, anywhere. So the pool of available people is just almost endless, okay? But in sports, and some of the other categories, it's tremendously large, but with the history category, it's even bigger. Because, I mean, you can go back to before there was ever even sports invented. So you can go back to BC times, you can go back to the 1100s, the 1200s, the 300s, or before that even. So I'm not going back that far because I don't really know anybody from back then. And even if I did, I don't think they'd be very interesting to golf with. This is my ultimate fantasy golf foursome. Yours is going to be totally different. That's the fun of it. So you do whatever you want. I'm going to keep it a little bit more modern though. So when I think about history, I'm thinking about people who helped shape the world, right? So you got all of Europe, Asia, right? And then I want to think about people who helped shape the United States of America. So that's where my head's at. And I'm going to focus mainly on either Europe or the United States. I'm not going to deal with Asia and some other places. You know, I'm a little more of a Europe and America kind of guy. So that's where I'm going to focus my thoughts. So let's get into it. So if you remember from world history, right, there was all kinds of different types of peoples and eras. There was a lot of dynasties, different ones, talk about that in a second. But, you know, you think about the Egyptians, right? King Tut or any of those pharaoh guys or girls. I mean, they helped shape the world architecture-wise, the pyramids, a lot of leading edge science there. How they moved those rocks and all that other stuff. I mean, the pharaohs, that's one place you could go. I don't think I want to go back that far. You know, you can think about famous artists like Michelangelo. He might be pretty cool to talk to. I mean, he did some amazing work. I've never seen any of it. Like, I haven't been to Italy to look at I think he did the Sistine Chapel and some of the other stuff. I've seen it on TV, read about it a little bit. Seems really interesting. I'm not into art as much. I'd like to see that stuff someday, but you know, whatever. So you can look at dynasties like the Ming Dynasty, but we already said I'm not going to deal with Asia, and that's a China thing. But what about the Roman Dynasty, Julius Caesar, right? They obviously affected the world in a huge way across many hundreds of years. Big contributions in art and science, obviously war, tactics, architecture as well. So you can go something like that. You look at Genghis Khan, another dynasty, right? Actually the longest running dynasty and biggest in the history of the world. You can go with those guys if you want. Maybe you look at somebody like Christopher Columbus, right? There's somebody who went on a big voyage, explored the world, and crossed the Atlantic, discovered America. So you can go there. And then Europe itself, the kings and the queens of Europe, you know, the Renaissance era, medieval times. One that comes to mind, Charlemagne. I seem to remember reading a lot about Charlemagne in world history back in high school. Largely considered to be the king that shaped Europe. So that's a pretty big deal. I mean, Europe's still there. There's a lot of countries in Europe, but that particular era when he was a ruler, you know, hey man, you shaped Europe. That's no small thing. William the Conqueror, largely regarded as the most famous, I guess, in quotes, king of England, who helped shape England and make it what it is today. So again, kings, queens, you can go down that road. And Napoleon, right? We all know about Napoleon. You can go down that road. If you like the French stuff. Stalin, Russia, another big name. Robert Baratheon, huge king of, wait a second, that's Game of Thrones. Now I'm getting all screwed up. Those are some names from Europe that you can look at. Now let's focus on some people who helped shape America. Somebody like John D. Rockefeller, Standard Oil, right? One of the biggest, largest companies ever to be created, eventually got broken up into a whole bunch of other oil companies. And he was obviously a huge finance kind of guy, financier, business person. He's got his name on a building in New York City, probably a bunch of other ones somewhere. You can go with somebody like that. How about Albert Einstein, right? Super smart guy, physics, that whole deal. Gosh, Henry Ford. I mean, we all know what Henry Ford did, largely credited with developing the first automobile. I think there's a little debate around that, but still, certainly got the whole Model T, the assembly line. The assembly line not only now, of course, pertains to, you know, vehicles, but went way beyond that. I mean, assembly line has come to be used across tons of different products and industries over the years. How about Thomas Edison? Electricity. What would we do without that? We could not watch this YouTube video if we didn't have electricity, among a ton of other things. Huge name there. Big contribution there, of course. Then you might slide into maybe some generals like, I don't know, Patton. Big name in World War II. I like Patton. He did a lot of stuff. But you got Ulysses S. Grant, right? Civil War. Commander of the Union forces. Could be a good guy to talk to. MacArthur, another World War II general, right? So you can go down that road if you want to go down the wartime stuff. In the entertainment world, you could look at, how about Walt Disney? I mean, enough said there. Happiest place in the whole world, Disney World, Disneyland, right? Huge contributions in the entertainment industry, motion picture industry, that kind of stuff. And the Wright brothers. Wright brothers is two people, so I guess I'd have to pick one. I don't know which one was more fun, but obviously development of the airplane and air travel, all that stuff, huge contribution. So we got a lot of options here to pick for the history category. You can go presidents. I mean, you got George Washington, Lincoln, you got John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, you can go down the forefathers road if you want. Lots and lots of options here. So we got to pick 3 to be in this foursome. So let me think on it a little bit, and then we have to narrow this down quick. So in the history category, it is so broad, and we're focused mainly, in my head, I was focused on kind of Europe and United States of America. So I think I'm going to skew it more towards the US. Okay, I love Europe. I love being in Europe. It's a fantastic place to visit. All the countries there, beautiful. The architecture is amazing. The food, everything's fantastic. And they got huge, long history, okay? But I think I'm going to stick kind of with the Americas. But my first pick is going to be someone that bridges Europe and America, and that's going to be Christopher Columbus. Discovered America, that's key. Okay, sailed across the ocean at a time when that was not really easy to do. Obviously, he found the Caribbean. He actually landed in the Caribbean, and I'm super glad that happened because that's a really nice place. The daiquiris are fantastic, and I hope they had some while they were there. I don't really know. But Christopher Columbus would be someone I'd love to hear about the journey. I mean, he came from Italy, so first of all, he's Italian. Wandered across Europe trying to find money to make this excursion that he wanted to do, right? And he ended up finding the money in Spain. So from Italy, somehow got to Spain, got some cash from the king and queen, jumped on 3 boats, came across the Atlantic, and here we are today. So I like that pick. Chris Columbus is in the foursome. Moving on, who else can we put in? I think I'm going down the forefathers route here, and there's a lot of good choices, of course, but I think my head's on Abraham Lincoln. I think I'm going to make Abraham Lincoln the number 2 pick for the history Fantasy Golf Foursome bracket. So Abraham Lincoln, we love him because super smart guy, incredibly quotable. His story, I mean, obviously managed the country through a very, very difficult time, the Civil War, slavery. I think all of that is incredibly interesting. I would love to just sit down with the guy and talk with him and get some insights on life in general. I think he can provide that, and I just think overall he's a solid pick to be in the foursome. So now we're down to pick number 3 for the history bracket, and I mean, man, I'm caught up in people like Edison, Disney. I love Disney. Man, I want to go Disney. But I'm also a military guy, Marine myself, so I'm looking at the generals as well, and I think I gotta go military here. You know what? I'm going General George Patton as my number 3 pick for the history bracket. What do we like about him? Super tough dude. He was in the Army, which is his only downfall there. Should have been a Marine, could have been a Marine, sounds like. Led the Africa campaign in World War II, led the boys into Sicily and the invasion of Italy, which was, of course, one of the Axis powers, right? Italy eventually teamed up with Germany there to beat the bad guys in Europe. So we went in there and kicked a little butt. Battle of the Bulge he was in, I believe. So I really would like to hear from General George Patton for 4 hours on what all that was like, what it was like being in World War II, what Italy was like during World War II, and just get his take on that whole scene. So we're gonna go with Christopher Columbus, Abraham Lincoln, and General George Patton. We are 1 bracket away from the finals, and that will be entertainment. That will be our next video. So we've got sports done, politics done, history done, entertainment to come, and then the grand finale where we pick our final 3 from all of the finalists that we're picking in these subgroups. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope you are too. Thanks for jumping in, and we'll see you in the next video, which will be the entertainment bracket. Catch you later.